When we think how we can select good, strong passwords, we have to discuss the dilemma of weak passwords. What is a weak password? A weak password is such a password that can very easily be revealed by attacks we will discuss later in more detail. The problem is that many users use and work with weak passwords when they when they setting up their digital identity. They can select the password freely, and of course they want to be able to remember this. So often only a weak password is chosen. So human factor is a problem, convenience. So to take the same password for all service. Complex passwords are harder to remember, and then it's more difficult after a while to get access to them. And many people do not completely understand why passwords are needed at all. So there is a lack of security awareness, which leads them, for example, to select as a password the sequence 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or similar easy things. The password can be weak for various reasons. For example, they can be weak because they have a very low complexity. But the password can also be considered weak when it's easy to derive the password from a known user context, from his name, Christian name, family, from his personal data, birthday, or from some characteristics or other things. And in a third way, passwords can be weak also when former strong passwords are reused. You know, your operating system from time to time asks you to select a new password, and even if there was a strong password chosen, when you every time reuses, then and attacker were able to get access to this password, then also strong passwords can considered to be weak. Let's have a closer look to these different cases. Let's start with weak passwords due to their low complexity. We have to consider a password as weak if it has less than 10 characters. We have to consider it as weak if it's created only from one type of characters. For example, only from numbers, or only from letters, or only from special characters. You have to mix these character groups. And passwords need to be considered weak when it's easy to find them in a dictionary. We will understand this better when we go into more details and see how attackers attack such passwords. And a simple way to attack passwords is to take a dictionary and then to compute all the hash values of all the words, of all the strings in the dictionary, and then to compare the outcome with the hashed password of a stolen user database. Also, key sequences which are very simple and form simple figures on a keyboard need to be considered weak. For example, these two examples. The table shows the 10 passwords of the 12 largest leaked identity databases. You remember we HPI collect such data leaks to give them to use them as a basis for our identity leak checker. So we have some insights, and we analyzed the usage and the often such passwords occurred, and it was very, very astonishing for us. So 0.5% of this more than 160 million users use the password 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You see also the other passwords, very, very simple, formed with very small and low complexity. So for a user, for an attacker, it becomes easy to guess to try a username together with a password 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or with one of the other passwords in the list. And there is a big chance that he succeeds to get into the account of a user and come into the position to misuse it. I also mentioned that passwords need to be considered weak if the password is close to some personal information around the user. So for example, many users use personal data as password. Their surname, their first name, the name of the partner, child, parent, dog, many others, or date of birth, favorite bands, favorite actors, and others. And everyone who knows the person can guess this data and can later try out whether these data are used as password. So passwords chosen, at least to some extent, from the authentication service, they is another approach to remember the password. So we're speaking about human factor. So many people, for example, when they use Adobe, they use the password which reminds them to Adobe. For example, Adobe 123, or Photoshop, or Adobe One. So from the personal information, a password can be guessed, but also from the context the password is used for. The cybercriminals have a chance to guess the password if the user is not aware that passwords need to be strong. So an attacker who knows his victim can easily guess passwords. And then third factor is the reuse of former passwords. And also this needs to be considered as a weak password, even if the password is a relatively secure password. Why is that? For some passwords, it's often used, the same password is often used for all accounts. For example, this looks very quite strong password. It's mixed different groups of signs. But when this password is used for every service in the internet by a user, and if only one of the services is leaked, then the attacker has access to even the strong password of the user and can misuse. Or if a strong password is used only with slight modifications. Here, for example, to append the name of the service that's used. The same password and short information what kind of service is used. So this needs to be considered as weak, because if password data of only one service is leaked to the internet, then all other services are affected. The attacker can misuse this found password in the leak to attack user accounts even from other services. So the question is how to choose safe passwords. First, do not use any information from the user context. No information that the attacker could find about their victim. For example, name, first name, birthday, favorite band, a name of the dog, or many others. Second, one should not choose a phrase or a word which can be found in the dictionary, because there are dictionary attacks which make it easy for the attacker to reveal the password, to reveal such phrase from a hashed password found in the leak of a user database. The length is important of a password, so it should be at least 10 characters. The reason is if only one character is added to a password, then to find out, to reveal this, it needs double so long time. Select characters from different character groups, special symbols, numbers, letters, special cases, upper lower case letters, and others. This increase the number of characters that need to be tested if the attacker performs a brute force attack. Another way, another hint for choosing safe password is that one definitely need to choose different passwords for different accounts. I mentioned this, if the attacker is able to get access to one password from a leaked user database, then he can, and the user use the same password for different services, and he can misuse the password also for unleaked services. Then one should not reuse old passwords, and if one following these rules, then one can significantly improve the security of accounts on the internet. Then if you follow these rules, it becomes more work and more difficult for the cyber criminals to attack your password and to get your password in their hands and allow them to misuse your accounts.